Hi, welcome to Cooking with Iskashita. Today we're going to be learning all about pumpkins. My name is DeBise Loomis, and with me today is Raleigh Loomis. He's going to be our editor, our director, our cameraman, and some assistants.
Hello.
So what we're going to start with first, when I first started with Iskashita many years ago, our executive director, Dr. Barbara Eisworth, was always around pumpkin time putting out these flyers that say, "Save a turkey, stuff a pumpkin." Well, we're going to do that today. We're going to teach you how to do that. Now, this dish is a total vegetarian dish. I have a pumpkin right here that, for the sake of time, I've already cut and cleaned out. I'm going to set that off to the side for a minute as we create the stuffing. In the stuffing today, we're using dry bread, onions, and we chop them up. We're using celery. Now, we also want to use the leaves with the celery. Now, folks, remember, at any time that you can, we want to use local, gleaned product. We're doing this optional. You do not have to you don't have to use the nuts. But these are pecans. These were gleaned by Iskashita. We're also using dried cranberries, which they're kind of hard to glean here in the desert. Green apples, the granny, and a variety of seasonings. We're using all local seasonings. We have sage, we have marjoram, the paprika is not local, and oregano. These all came from Iskashita. So now that we have all that together, we're going to add some vegetable stock, 2 cups. And folks, don't worry about writing things down. We are going to make sure that you get the recipes. We will send them digitally to you. This is a white rice. And I have some butter, melted. So I'm going to put on gloves at this point so I can mix this by hand. And we're going to mix it up very well. Now, we don't want it really wet. We want it moist so it doesn't dry up. We don't want it dry either, because it will be it won't taste good. It won't taste good. So I'm mixing this up really well, getting that bread to absorb. Gosh, this looks good and it smells wonderful. Now we're going to stuff our pumpkin. Make sure we stuff it real well. The nice thing about this particular dish, if you wanted to, you could use smaller pumpkins, such as something like this one, and do individuals for your folks at Thanksgiving or Christmas, so they get their own pumpkin. Now, folks, when we do this, you want a pumpkin about the same size that I just used. We don't want to press it down solid. You want to keep it loose. And then we're going to put it in the oven at 325 degrees. That'll be in there for about an hour and a half. And it'll be ready when we can stick a fork through the skin without any resistance. Okay, now that we have our stuffed pumpkin in the oven, and it'll take about an hour or so to cook, we are going to make you a very special dish. It's called Afghani Kaddu. Afghani Kaddu is a entree. It's a side dish in the Afghan community. One day we were doing a food preservation workshop, and it was going to be about pumpkins. We were going to make pumpkin butter. We were going to do different pumpkin things. And this wonderful lady was there who was an Afghani refugee, her and her daughter. And her daughter was her interpreter. So when she saw the pumpkin, she got all excited. And she started telling her daughter that she makes kaddu. So her daughter was interpreting, and long story short, I asked them what they needed to make this kaddu. So I quick asked an intern to take over the class quickly while I ran down to the local grocery store and picked up the few items she needed. And she made us kaddu. I've been making kaddu personally now for a number of years with a little twist which we'll get to in a little while. So right now, we took a pumpkin and we cleaned it out. And of course we don't waste anything here at Eskashita. We have our pumpkin seeds. We're going to take these right now and boil them in salt water. The reason we do that, when they are roasted, they get a little crispier. And they have that nice flavor with the salt in them. So I already have my water on. I'm going to put that in the water now. So now back to the kaddu. I already cubed the pumpkin. We use about 2 pounds of pumpkin for this dish. We use Roma tomatoes, sweet onions, different seasonings which I'll go over, and sugar. So our oil is ready now for the pumpkin. We used 1/3 cup of olive oil to the 2 pounds of pumpkin. And we're going to stir this every so often till it gets to a nice golden brown. Now this here is a sweet tomato that we're putting together to put into the pumpkin, which makes kaddu. So we have Roma tomatoes that are not local. Sometimes you can't use local, folks. We have onion, a nice sweet onion. Now this here, we have ground ginger, we have salt, we have coriander, ground coriander, and we have chiltepins. A chiltepin is from here in the desert. It's a hot pepper. So we're going to sprinkle that around. And then 1/3 cup of sugar. So let me check on the pumpkin. Oh, it's coming beautiful. We'll let that go for a few more minutes. And again, I'm going to put on a glove to mix this mixture. And we're going to mix it up really well. Because of the different seasonings, we don't want clumps of it. We want it to be well distributed. Oh, it smells so good. I love the smell of coriander. Okay, I think that's mixed up good. And we're going to hold off for a minute before we add it to the pumpkin. So it may take a couple minutes for the pumpkin, but in the meantime, I put those pumpkin seeds in the salt water. We boiled them now for 10 minutes. I'm going to remove them, and then we're going to roast them with sugar and cinnamon. although you can use a lot of different seasonings if you wish. So our pumpkin has been cooking, and it's looking absolutely wonderful. I think we're almost ready to add our sweet tomato to it. So I just have to add a cup of water to this. And we're going to stir that up. And now we just pour it into the pumpkin mixture. We want to stir it up really well so all these wonderful flavors meld. And we're going to let this cook on a medium-low heat for about 20 minutes or so, with stirring it every so often so it doesn't scorch. So that's our kuddu that we're working on. Now we have the seeds that we boiled for the 10 minutes, and I strained them, and I patted them with the paper towel to dry them up a little bit. What we're going to do with these today is we are going to add a little bit of butter to them, and a little bit of cinnamon sugar, but first I want to mix that butter in very well so it coats the seeds, so our cinnamon and sugar can adhere to it. Now do a little at a time, you don't have to go crazy with it. But you do want to make sure that they're covered. Now, when you're making these, you can make these all different ways. You can make them garlicky. You can make them hot. You could use some chiltepin with them. There's a number of things that you can do, and we have ideas for you that we'll be sending to you after this class. So now that we have it all done, I'm going to pour it directly on this pan. And we're going to spread them out. It's a great snack in the evening when you're watching TV. And we're going to pop these in the oven. Now these will go in the oven, give or take about 45 minutes to an hour, till they're nice and crisp. The thing is though, you don't want to cook them too long, because you'll burn the insides if you do. Okay, and our kuddu is cooking away here. Gosh, this smells absolutely wonderful. Turn that up just a hair. Now remember folks, we're teaching here today savory dishes. We with the kuddu and the stuffed pumpkin, and for the most part we're used to pumpkins being made into desserts. Now later I will display for you desserts that we are making, but I will not be making them on camera. But we are making a pumpkin pie and a pumpkin bread. Pumpkin is a very, very diverse fruit, and believe it or not, it is a fruit. I always thought it was a vegetable. Okay, so now we're back. The stuffed pumpkin is almost ready to take out. Our Kadoo is done, so now we're going to put a little bit of a Southwest twist to this. We're going to make Kadoo empanadas. Now I did the dough earlier. Use your favorite dough, or we will include a recipe for dough. So I'm going to cut them out. Now I'm making them a little on the smaller side, more as like an appetizer kind of a thing at a holiday party or any gathering that you'll do. So I use this ring. There's all different sizes. You can make them larger. I wouldn't go too much smaller though with them. Okay. We'll just put this off to the side. Now I put some of our Kadoo in this bowl here to work with the dough. So what we're going to do is we're going to wet the ring, like so. Don't put too much of the Kadoo inside there. You'll never be able to seal your ends up. Okay, so now once we get it sealed, or take it and pinch your ends together. Now make sure they're sticking, just like that. Now if you want to, you can get a little fancy with a fork and just put some lines here like so. But always make sure that we poke a hole in, or it will explode. Okay, so we're going to do all of these this way. And through the magic of film, so here we are. As you can see, the empanadas are done. I'm going to put those empanadas on a pan, ready for the oven. Use parchment paper for it. Put your empanadas on the paper. And then we're going to put an egg wash on it. Egg wash will make it golden brown for you. Then we're going to pop these in the oven. They take about 10, maybe 15 minutes depending, to cook. So in the oven we go. So our empanadas, I just pulled them out of the oven. So I'm going to put them on a plate quickly. We have these beautiful empanadas. Here's everything we made today, folks. The stuffed pumpkin. This is delicious. The fresh sage really does it. Now, with the fruit, you could add apricot to it. You can add whatever you want. If you have walnuts, use walnuts. Use whatever you want. This is a delicious dish. Here's our Kadoo. Now this here is how we're serving it as a side dish. And of course, our snack of the pumpkin seeds. So I don't know about all you folks, but I'm getting pretty hungry. So Raleigh and I are gonna dig in now. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye.